pads are useful for their purpose, but they are no substitute for brains.
All right, here we go.
I have to say, well done, Ray. Well done. Well played, my adversary. Well played.
Phoenix isn't gay, but if he was, he'd pick Fremo.
Oh yeah, he'd be living down there with you in the bunker, man. Woo!
Once you go free, you always do the Z.
Like one day I'm not going to Duncan, and you could get a controller, a new Xbox, possibly even a cord.
And now here are your technically challenged hosts.
Welcome to BGFG, episode 445. I'm your host, Chris Phoenix, and joining me, as always, my brother from another mother, Mr. Fremo Z. How are you doing this week, sir?
I am fantastic.
That's outstanding. I'm having allergies kicking my butt.
Well,
It's brutal.
I sent you my thoughts on that earlier.
Yeah. It's
Bees, it's all bees, man. Bees hate us.
why not? I'll take anything at this point. I've taken so many drugs this morning. I'm just glad I could breathe again.
It's their fault. We have so much pollen. If they'd quit repollinating plants so that plants would proliferate.
We wouldn't have this issue. Yeah, it just sucks. I have nothing to say. Nothing good anyway. So, before we get into this week's show, unfortunately we have a not coming down for breakfast. And this not coming down for breakfast is King Theoden from Lord of the Rings, Bernard Hill. Died at 79. No cause of death let out yet. So nobody's, but again, at 79, I mean, it could have been old age.
Yeah,
But
possibly.
golden ticket and towel to you, my friend. Godspeed. Nothing? You're not going to add anything?
No, any reference I had right now will be a Lord of the Rings reference, and I don't want to do that.
Okay. Let's get into this week's news then.
BGFG News. You heard it here third.
So first up in this week's news, I thought it was quite interesting. Gene therapy is actually working. There was a lot of questions about gene therapy and stem cell research and all that. Proof is in the pudding. 18-month-old Opal Sandy was born completely deaf. And after receiving a single dose of groundbreaking gene therapy, she began responding to sound after only 3 weeks. 6 months after that, she had full hearing back. That is incredible. Deaf at birth. And now she can actually hear things. This is tremendous. Again, why are we not focusing as a country or as a planet? Why are we not focusing more on medical research than, the other BS that we have to go through?
Because of the people in charge.
That's true. I mean, this little girl gets her full hearing back. No need for an implant or anything else. Hearing's normal.
If you can cure cancer and fix hearing and all these other things, then
Big Pharma goes away.
how you gonna make all your money?
That's true.
Once nanobot technology is perfected and they can go in and fix anything.
Yeah. Well, the whole nanite thing could go sideways too. But, gene therapy can fix this little girl's hearing, but you can't seem to fix the post office.
That's not quite fair because it's not really the post office
Really?
that's doing this.
Okay. You're going to defend
If you're talking about all the fake phishing hacks,
Yeah.
talking about your package, yeah, that's not the post office doing that.
Well, look, cybersecurity found that the United States Postal Service accounts for at least half of all traffic to the Postal Service website, in fact, is spam and malware related.
Yeah, but they're not the ones that are putting the spam and the malware
Well,
out there.
shouldn't they
They're
have
the
better
victim.
security? Come
They're the victim.
They're the United States Postal Service. Shouldn't they?
Yeah.
Shouldn't they have a plan? Shouldn't they have
They do.
cybersecurity?
They do. They haven't updated it in quite a while, but it's something about neither rain nor sleet nor snow.
I don't think that covered cybersecurity. Do you?
Yeah, that's why I said they haven't updated it.
This is nice. Oh, do better.
You steal
UPS.
their pony. You steal their pony. You're going to jail for life because then they can't deliver the mail. But
Yeah, but you can go to their website and get hit with malware, which is great. You know, they should take a note out of the page of Reddit. Reddit stepped up this past week, which I thought was really cool. They just locked down all their public data. Why are you shaking your head?
I mean, that's one way to look at it.
What did they? Okay, I already know where you're going to go with this. I know where you're going to go with this. They just rolled out their new policy, public content policy. Now the company, they've already made $203 million through data licensing, but now they're going to make it more strict. They've never blocked data from AI training before, which is where a lot of ChatGPT gets their shit. We've talked about it on the show before, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And now they're seeing the error of their ways because shit got out of hand. They decide to move their, they start to realize that their data has even more value.
There we go. Now let's get to it. They didn't lock it down to be nice to their users.
I'm
They
hoping
locked
that
it
they
down. They locked it down because they realized they weren't making money off of it the way they could be.
They made $203 million.
That's nothing.
Right, but at least they're taking a stand. They're saying they're taking a stand because
Well, sure. Of course I mean, that's human nature.
right.
Hey, we're gonna lock down your data to keep you safe while we sell the hell out of it.
Look, they okay, I'll give you that. But they did step back and say, third parties need to operate. Right now, the third parties are operating with no regard for user rights or privacy.
Yeah.
So this new policy is going to stop that. Now, even if you want some of that data, you're going to have to not only pay for it, but sign a lengthy agreement. For advertisers, business, moderators, researchers, general non-commercial use.
Your data will be as safe as possible right up to the point where we sell it.
Okay. I really can't argue that. Even if I was feeling better, I don't think I would argue that. My fingers are crossed that some of the lockdown is going to create a little bit better security for my information. But I highly doubt it.
Yeah, right up until the point.
Yeah.
Go ahead, finish it.
No, I'm not, because I want to say that I just recently had to fill out something for a job, and they directed me to a website.
It's called an application.
No, it wasn't an application. It was something for the HR department. But I went to they use a third party HR. So I went to the website. The website immediately came up with not only was the background like generic Squarespace, but it was the image that they showed was like out of size. You know when you get an all pixelated picture because it's out of size, and then first thing it says is last name, social security number, confirm social security number, birth date. I'm like, okay, this is
Nope.
What the hell? I backed out of it, and they're like, hey, they sent me an email like, hey, you're gonna need to fill this thing out. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that Monday morning because this is I'll go somewhere in person and fill that shit out because this does not look safe at all.
I would give it to Steve over the phone.
And did you hear Dell got hacked?
Yeah.
Now this was a weird hack though. I mean, first of all, how can we do a news segment without talking about somebody getting hacked? At some point, we've done it so often. But if you purchased anything from Dell in the past 7 years, your information, as well as 49 million other people, have been compromised. Now, Dell comes out and says, hey, look. He's like, everybody, Dell comes out, calm down. calm down. Look, it's name, address, hardware, services, and order information was compromised. But there hasn't really been any personal information or credit card numbers. So you guys can all calm down. Like they literally said that.
Yeah. Nothing financial, just who you are and what you bought.
Yeah.
What you had.
But they did say there's no personal risks and that they aren't worried about it at all. I'm a little worried about it because I did buy a computer from Dell recently in the past 7 years, I should say. And
Don't
that's
worry.
my name.
Papa Cuban's going to take care of it.
It's my name,
He's
address.
going
my
to send.
credit
He's going to
card.
send the negotiators
Oh,
to speak with the hackers.
I like what, again, we talked about it. Was it last week? Where Freebo's answer to Freebo's solutions?
Give me a task force. Don't ask questions.
Correct.
I'll fix
That
a
is-
lot of problems.
That is a t-shirt right there. Give me a task force and don't ask any questions. Last story this week for the Deuce segment will make me sound old, I'm sure. And I don't even know how you stand on this. But this is something that kind of, because I have radio in my heart, like radio stations, FM, AM, the AM radio law might actually happen. So if you notice, a lot of the newer vehicles don't have AM radio. They barely have any FM radio, but they're kind of getting away from AM radio. And I understand why. A lot of people listen to MP3s. I do it. I listen to podcasts in my car all the time. So I very rarely turn on the radio, let alone the AM portion of the radio. I don't even know if my car that I have now, I don't even know if it has an AM band. But for those that don't know, which is going to surprise me with this show, the AM radio for every vehicle bill. This bill requires the Department of Transportation to issue a rule that requires all new motor vehicles to have devices that can access AM broadcast stations installed as standard equipment. Now, AM is actually kind of important. They are often used to deliver emergency information, emergency alerts. They do have news and entertainment. A lot of times you'll find older things on AM radio, lots and lots of talk shows. Lots of talk shows.
Yeah.
If you find any music, it's guaranteed to be oldies. And I don't mean oldies like 80s and 90s. I mean like 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
Like oldies. So
Some Duke Ellington.
right. What I love about AM radio is
Etta James.
yes. For one thing, I remember my grandfather using a little old transistor radio and listening to the baseball game while he was, sitting in his chair. And I think baseball games on AM radios have a very unique sound to them, especially if they're broadcast well. It's very nostalgic, very nice. I listened to a lot of AM talk radio at a couple of jobs I was at because that's all they had in the bullpen that we were at was this little radio, and he got AM radio. The FM didn't come in real well because I heard that where I was at, somebody got really upset at playing the music too loud. It just snapped the antenna off of the radio. And because of the type of building we were in, they couldn't get any signal, but AM would go through. So it was a lot of AM radio and talk shows and stuff.
It'll be interesting to see how the EV market handles this mandate.
Why? It shouldn't be any
Um,
different. Radio's a radio.
Yeah, but there's a whole lot more RFI, EMI interference when you're dealing with an EV car.
And AM radio is pretty strong signal. Yeah, that should be interesting. They have to have a lot of shielding around that antenna, like a lot.
Yeah.
And shielding, for those who don't know, shielding around an antenna, it looks like tin foil. And for lack of a better term, it kind of is, but you have to really kind of make it robust in order to keep unwanted signals out.
So, yeah, tuning into your favorite ball game on AM and your Tesla catches fire.
I think AM is very important. I really do. The
Yeah,
beginning of our show.
I have no problem with them mandating that. The conspiracy theory side of my brain wants to know why it's all of a sudden an urgent need. Are we
That's a
about
very
to be
good question.
reduced to AM radio signals? Are we about to be reduced to, if you don't have a ham radio, you're not finding out what's going on?
Or is it that they know there's an impending invasion and they're going to block out most terrestrial signals and AM radio might be the only thing that survives?
That's what I literally just said.
All right, let's get into this week's news. There's news.
But I'm sure some people will hear that and think that I'm just
Yeah, you are. You're a quack. In following with our summer of covers, this week we're going to do Evanescence. You might know them from Bring Me to Life. They actually covered Keep Us Together. I believe it's Fleetwood Mac. I believe. Never a dull moment. And we're going to catch you on the other side.
I'm done with my sound effects for the first half of the show.
It's because we're done with the first half of the show. We're going to get into this week's Stick Style afterwards. This is a 4-minute song, kind of a long song. Good song, though. And we'll catch you on the other side for Stick Style and some... so let's get into this week's...
It's just odd hearing someone other than Stevie Nicks sing that.
Yeah.
Not that they did a bad job or anything like that. Yeah, it just...
Right. So this week I'm attempting to drink a Modelo. I think that's the last one I got.
Attempting?
Well, yeah. My throat hurts.
Well, I'm still on the...
Roll Rock. I can, so I'm going with light. Nope. Rolling Rock. Rolling Rock. There we go. Cheers.
The big boy. Makes me look like I have little hands.
All right, well, let's get into it.
Gaming.
So first story up today in Stick Style, I don't really even know how I feel about this. Corsair just bought Fantec. Corsair's the PC maker. If you don't know, you should, especially if you listen to this show. I'm a big fan of Corsair. They're the maker of many custom PC parts like coolers, RAM, fans, cases. They even have pre-builts if you want. But they also have spent the past few years buying up companies left and right. Like they bought Origin, for instance. Origin computers make great pre-built computers. They're the ones that actually had the Origin Big O. The Big O was a phenomenal computer because the Big O had an Xbox, a PlayStation, and a Nintendo, plus your PC components all in one case. It was pretty cool. You just had a switch in the front that you could switch between all of them. They've never talked about doing another one, though there is a couple of people that have done it and called it like Big O version 2 and 3, but they're none by Corsair. But they also bought other companies like Elgato, which pretty much is Corsair at this point, Scuff controllers, drop keyboards. And now they add Fantec racing wheels. Now, they're not cheap.
No. And this, I don't want to call it a niche market, but it kind of is.
Yeah, it kind of is. If you're into racing wheels, it is a great racing wheel. You got a gated shifter you can buy with it as well. Go ahead.
I mean, that's why I'm saying it's kind of a niche thing, because it's not that driving accessories are a niche market, but they within that market are their own little niche because they do a phenomenal job, very high end.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that scares me. I don't know that Corsair will dumb them down, for lack of a better term.
I don't know if they will. I mean, they took Elgato under their wing and they kind of keep it separate as a business. Yeah. Same in the Scuff controls. I don't know why they bought drop keyboards, because Corsair is making their own keyboards. And again, the keyboard I have right here in front of me that I swore on,
that was probably to
bolster,
be able to incorporate something that was patented from drop into their own line.
Well, they're not gonna be able to buy that steering wheel company until they pay off that $75 million debt they have. but it shouldn't be too big of a problem because last year Corsair had a profit of $1.4 billion. So they're doing okay, and they can afford to pay off that little bill of $75 million. But I think it's a good idea. I do. I think Corsair does a lot of things, and the only thing bad about Corsair and Elgato is their customer service. Their customer service is absolutely horrendous. It's just to get an RMA on anything, it's just awful. But their products, 90% of the time, just work great, flawlessly, forever. They just do. A lot of it's software. Their IQ software is getting better. The Elgato, I mean, I can go at length talking about Elgato. Everything that we have in the studio is Elgato, and it works flawlessly all the time. I never have an issue. Now I'm going to have a bunch of issues.
Invest in some Elgato audio stuff then.
We do have Elgato audio stuff.
Then what has been our issues?
Mostly the guy behind the keyboard. And getting
Oh,
the
bunch
software
of
to route
PEPCAP
properly.
errors?
Bunch of PEPCAP errors. Yep. Yeah, absolutely PEPCAP errors. So moving on, one of our favorite games that we love to talk about, Helldivers. So just as an update, they are setting the stage. Arrowhead setting the stage for future community-driven changes. And I thought this was brilliant. We talked about how Freemo's time playing the game was going to be limited because you would have to create a PlayStation account, and that just wasn't happening. I was pretty pissed off about it too because I really don't want to confuse the two, and I actually didn't do it. I was going to do it that day. I tried to, and there was a glitch, and I couldn't, which I'm glad I didn't because now they've backpedaled. Sony just backed right down, mostly because
You're welcome.
players dropped over 200,000 negative reviews on the game. Like as soon as Sony announced that, and Sony released a statement right afterwards, and I quote, "They will not be moving forward with any sort of, we're still learning what is best, and your feedback is invaluable." Really? Our feedback's invaluable? Well, I guess 177 countries not being able to use your game and 200,000 negative comments on the game after this happened. That'll make you back down a little bit and consider our feedback as valuable.
Yeah.
But there's always casualties, collateral damage. One of those pieces of collateral damage was the Helldivers community manager goes by the name of Spitz. And when everything was
Spitz
going,
needs any help, give me a call. I got you.
I can almost guarantee you that the community is going to bring him back too. Spitz encouraged players to review bomb and then refund the game to get Sony to change their mind. And we did. Well, most of us, I say we, I didn't do anything. But now he's no longer in the chat at all. Like somebody made a comment and he's like, yeah, I can't comment on that anymore at all. And on a good note, Casper Van Dien, the Johnny Rico from Starship Troopers. The face of Starship Troopers. Yeah, he actually loves the game and loves how they kept the Starship Troopers idea and feel it going along with this game. And he's completely open to doing anything else with that game. Like if they need him to do a guest appearance or anything, he's willing to do it. I think that'd be pretty badass to see another a video communique with him. I think that would be great. You could have it like our biggest Helldiver or our best Helldiver. I think that would be phenomenal. That would just pop everybody. I'm pretty sure. And lastly, in stick style, let's not forget about the Starfield update. This is going to be big. Looking forward to it. The biggest and the first big update. May 15th. Just a couple of days. There isn't one thing that stands out in this update because they're all welcome new features. Like you're going to get ship decorations because we do spend a lot of time in the ships. So you'll be able to decorate the interior of your ship now. 60 frames per second and up to 120 frames with variable refresh rate on a monitor for your Xbox. So that's good because I can tell the difference when I jump over to the Xbox version. You can tell a difference, or I should say, PlayStation rather. I'm sorry, I'm wrong game. The Xbox, yes, I can tell a difference when I go in there and play it as opposed to the computer.
Somebody's had too much cold medicine.
Yes, I have. Finally, the city maps. They'll be here and all of this will be here on May 15th. You can actually have a city map now. So you can land on the city, explode the map, and see where you actually need to go. Or if you just want to get ammo, or you just want to get, because I am tired of running around, running around different cities, not knowing exactly where everything is. Remo doesn't have that problem because he's just been playing the same game constantly. I'm just floating around going to different things, and I don't remember shit. So I don't remember outside of Aquila and going to the gunsmith right there. Outside of that,
Yeah.
when I go to other places like Neon, I'm constantly looking for stuff in Neon, and there's stuff in the lower levels of Neon that I'm not going to. It's
Oh,
gonna
there's
be
a
nice,
lot of stuff. Yeah.
and it's gonna be nice to have a little map that I can get into.
See, this is where younger gamers who didn't spend a lot of time doing MMOs or even tabletop Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
Okay. Like your old Dungeon Siege games, stuff like
Yeah.
that, where you had to remember where stuff was to be able to
Yeah.
get back to it, kind
Yeah.
of a deal, you know?
I used to be good at
So
it. Maybe I just get
go
too
into
old.
these cities, man. I mean, it's like, it's not a big deal.
I just want to know where the other stuff is in like the underground of Neon and stuff. That's what I like, or something that I haven't found yet, or a section I haven't gone to. I think that's going to be extremely helpful because I have gotten turned around in quite a few areas that I'm like, wait a minute, did I go in the store already?
Yeah, see. Shouldn't be happening. That should not be happening, Phoenix.
Well, it's happening.
Okay.
There might be alcohol involved. I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll take this offline. I don't want people to hear me berating you over your
I appreciate that.
skill set, which should be well more advanced than what you're apparently admitting to.
All right, let's get into tech news.
Although that does clear up why you can't ever seem to go in the right direction in Hell Divers. But
I don't disagree with you on that at all. I have no leg to stand on. I don't know if you heard, but Apple made a couple of releases. They announced new iPads. They do that this time of year. Apple does a refresh of some of their product line. iPads got the refresh, and I do like where they're going. We said it before on the show with their laptops. They're really separating the MacBook Airs from the MacBook Pros, where you need to be a pro to get that, or you should be a pro if you need a MacBook Pro. Everybody else can deal with the MacBook Air, which is fine. iPads have essentially 3 tiers. They don't really need 3 tiers anymore. They have the iPad Pro, iPad Air, and just the regular iPad. I think the regular iPad is probably going to go away because the iPad Air is just fine. And with the base iPad Air, you can now have the option of an 11-inch or a 13-inch, up to 1 terabyte hard drive and the M2 chip. The iPad Air starts at $600, and you're all in looking at about $1,500, maybe a little bit more if you go with the keyboard. I have an iPad right here. I believe it's a Pro, a couple of years old, with the Magic Keyboard, and it is a viable laptop replacement. If you don't need to download things onto your device, and you just go to a lot of websites and
I just read one of the fixes coming in Starfield. I was going all the way down the list.
Yeah.
NPCs will no longer talk about being attacked by wildlife on lifeless planets. Somebody complained about that? Really?
there was somebody that did that.
Gee, well, yeah. I mean, there was initially people were all out of shape because there was no trigger on the lawgiver.
Why does it matter? It still pushes out freedom bullets, does it not?
Yeah. But apparently, if you were looking at it, like in the inventory or whatever, there was like not a trigger on it.
Oh, poor thing.
I'm like, people, you have too much time on your hands. If that's the kind of stuff you're noticing, you should go get a job working as an editor for movies, so that little things like that don't bug the crap out of people like my wife when she's watching movies.
And send us an
That's
email.
where you need to spend your time.
And send us an email because if you are that type of person that is that in tune into detail, I have a bunch of books with a guy that wears a red and white sweater that I can't find. So, I mean, maybe you can find it for me.
Yeah, and switch your medication because apparently your doctor has you on OCD medication, and that's the wrong one. You, my friend, have a case of CDO.
What's CDO?
Compulsive disorder obsessive. It puts the letters in the right
Oh, I see
order.
what you did there. That's funny. That's funny. The
Yeah, when your OCD is out of control.
so
have
the
CDO.
so you'll be all in at 1500 with the iPad Air. It's a good laptop alternative, I feel. I've used it before. If you're just doing documentation and going to websites, that'll be fine for you. If you do need something like the iPad Pro, again, you have an 11 and a 13-inch option. You can get up to a 2 terabyte hard drive. Yes, Fremo.
These are with the M2 chip.
The iPad Air has the M2 chip. The new iPad Pro has the M4 chip.
And these are the chips that have the security flaw in them that can't be.
I don't know if these do, because they did start to refab to correct the issue. And they did disable, in a software update, they disabled a couple of different features that you won't really see under the hood that will prevent that hack from happening.
Okay. I just wondered.
No, I know you were. So base price of the iPad Pro is going to be $1,000, and you're all in for $2,500. And the only thing that kind of sucks, yes, Fremo.
Is there an Apple Pencil Pro sharpener?
No, there's no Apple Pencil Pro sharpener.
What
There's
happens when your Apple Pencil Pro gets dull?
Ironically, you can't lose sensitivity in the tip. It's so hard to say that with a straight face. But you can replace the tip on the pencils if it stops working properly. But
Gotcha.
again, this is a good laptop alternative if you wanted something like that, and your the Magic Keyboard's going to cost you another $300. It is a good product. I have one here, and I've used it for years and years and years, taking it back and forth to different jobs. Because if you need something, you don't need something as robust as a full-size laptop. On a good note also is iOS 17.5 will be out soon, and this will allow you to leave your Find My feature on when you send your phone in for repair. Now, there's a lot of people that go to the website, and then you send it in from your home. There's people that go into your local big box and get the repair done there, or you have a cell phone repair shop in your local town. Now, because I do that for a living, when you go to have it repaired, one of the things that Apple absolutely, for some ungodly reason, wants you to do is to shut off the Find My feature. So I can't even process a work order unless you shut that off. Even if the phone's staying in the building, I have to shut off the Find My device feature. I don't know why. I never really cared about it. I think it's stupid, but that's the way Apple wants it. So once you sign out, now one of the things it's not a big deal if you're sitting there in the shop, but once it gets shipped to Apple for repair and it gets lost, there's no way to track the phone. You have no idea. I've seen stuff leave my building, and then we're waiting and waiting and waiting for a phone to come back, and so is the customer. And 2, 3, 4, 5 days out, and you're like, "Where's the phone?" But you can't track it, and now you have to spend weeks arguing with whose fault it is, who's gonna refund the replacement, and it's just a pain in the ass. And then with stolen device protection turned on, you have to wait an hour to get Find My to turn off, which then causes lengthy repairs and unhappy customers. In the new beta software for 17.5, there's a feature that's going to allow you to put your phone into repair state. Again, this is on the beta, so the repair state will put it into a repair state so that you can work on the phone, which is great. If you have the lost device feature, you have to wait an additional hour before the Find My feature will turn off. This is going to bypass all of that. Now, I mentioned on the show before that I did beta software on my phone one time, and I've had people come into the store with beta software. I cannot work on the phone if it's on beta software. You have to format the phone and put the original OS back on it. I did the beta software and not thinking, just being cool, and I'm like, "Oh, I got my developer, and I'll just and I put it on beta, and I'm like, "Holy shit, this is truly beta. There's shit that ain't working no more on my phone." And then Fremo's voice is going on in my head, going, "It's beta, asshole. Did you forget? It's beta software. It's not supposed to work flawlessly." And then, of course, on the other side is also an echo of Fremo's voice going, "Did you put it on your daily driver? Good going, dumbass." Should have had a spare phone for that, you idiot.
Yeah. Never test on your daily driver.
No, ever. But I ended up formatting the phone and putting it back, and everything was fine. But I just think it's funny that everybody's talking about it on the forums, because if you're a repair agent, doing the repair state is really handy, because you don't have to worry about people not knowing their passwords anymore and walking them through resetting their passwords just to turn off the Find My feature.
Well, except that to turn on the repair state, they have to do it with their Apple ID and password. So
Right. So you're still into it a little bit, but at least it's easier, because there's cases where for some reason it will not remove from Find My. And then we have to escalate it, and there's a big problem. This is going to alleviate all that. But I just thought it was funny that on the beta software, there's no button to turn off the repair state.
nice.
No, once you're in repair state, you can't turn it off if you've got the beta stuff going. I'm assuming that what it's going to be is that once you put the repair state on, it's going to take an authorized Apple repair agent to reset it with some of the machines that we have, or the software that we have, to be able to reset the phone to take it out of that repair state, which I just think is incredibly funny. I love that. I love that so much. Oh,
I can just see that now. They're opening the door to this dude's little dark cubicle in the basement. And they're like, "Hey, we can't turn repair state off. You just told me you wanted to be able to put the phone into repair state. You didn't say you wanted to take it out."
You didn't say nothing. Now I got to bake a button in there. Yes. So, moral of the story is never put beta software on your main device. And you should probably not put TikTok on your main device either, because TikTok is garbage. I know everybody loves TikTok, and look, you're never going to get that love from the show ever on most of the social media.
Never used it, never will.
Nope, me neither. But TikTok is
And
fighting
they've
back.
now made a really, 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 really smart choice.
Yeah. So TikTok is in a fight for its life here in the States, because we're trying to pass bills that's going to remove TikTok. So the company that owns TikTok, ByteDance, is facing litigation in this country that will see them sell off TikTok to an American company or ban the app altogether. People are outraged. What are you doing? ByteDance is, half of them are like, ByteDance is a Chinese company. They're taking all your information. The other half is like, this is the greatest social network platform ever, and we can't let it go. And this is how I make my money. Is how I make my life. I'm an influencer.
Yeah.
So what do you do if you're ByteDance? You do exactly what any American company would do. You file a lawsuit. ByteDance is alleging the First Amendment free speech violations are abundant in this whole case.
Okay.
Now you're learning, ByteDance. You got it. You counter the lawsuit with a lawsuit. This is the American way.
A foreign company.
Yeah.
Controlled by, and I realize that me saying that is up for debate, but you're not going to convince me otherwise. A foreign company controlled by a foreign government.
Yeah.
Is now suing our government.
Yeah.
Using the rights of a U.S. citizen to defend their company.
Denial ain't just a river in Egypt, Curly.
First Amendment, last time I checked, was for the benefit of U.S. citizens.
They're fighting for you.
How? Yeah, if the judge doesn't just throw this out, we're done.
You want some more waste of legal system?
I mean, either that or ByteDance needs to legally become a U.S. citizen.
One or the other. More useless laws.
Figure that one out.
Because you can't just leave well enough alone. Florida just banned lab-grown meat. Now, I'm sure.
Oh, that's going to give me some hate mail.
Fremo and I are going to get hate mail. And it's going to be even easier. What a great segue. It's going to be even easier soon, because there's going to be an add-on at the beginning of the show that's going to allow you to do an email. We're going to have a direct email link now through our Buzzsprout service provider for our podcasts. and you're going to have the opportunity to just hit us up directly right from watching the show. So we'll get more into that next week, most likely, because I'm just ironing out some details. But one of the things you can also send us hate mail about is what we're about to say, because I'm pretty sure people are not going to agree with us. I am all about real meat. I don't even need to check with Fremo to know that he's all about real meat. And lab-grown meat is just, I understand why you want to try it. I get it. You want to try to prevent, on
In
one end.
unrelated news, Soylent Green's IPO.
It's Soylent Green is people. The livestock, you want to prevent livestock from being killed because you're a member of PETA, and you want to help. What was the other one? Help the environment from noxious gases or some stupid shit like that. Look, I get it, but from the dawn of time, this is the way it kind of works, right? So even in olden, go back to ancient times, you killed what you eat. You killed what you ate. Fremo used to do it years ago, because I don't believe you do it anymore. But you used to do it years ago, where you would go out and.
Oh, I still hunt for meat.
All right, yeah. So Fremo would go hunt for meat, and we got email on that way back. Fremo would go hunt for meat, and what he would kill, he would skin, and he would keep it in the freezer, and that's what fed him and his family for the entire winter. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. People have to look at the way that we used to survive and kind of get on that bandwagon, for lack of a better term. There's a lot of wasted material. If you look in the grocery store, just look in the grocery store. There's a lot of waste in the grocery store. Even in the 40s and 50s, you were going down to your butcher. If you wanted meat that day, you would go down to your butcher. Let me get 4 lamb chops. Let me get 2 ribeye steaks. That's how you fed your family, and it was piecemeal, really. And you went down to the butcher, and you got until there was nothing left at the butcher. A fish market. If you had a fish market in your town, you would go there and get the fish that you want. They would skin it and debone it, and you would get your fillet, or you would get, your cod, or whatever you wanted. Now you go into the grocery store and you're buying frozen packs of, steaks. Yeah, you're going to keep them in your freezer and whatnot, but how many of those things are going to be sold? How many of those things are going to be thrown out? It's kind of a waste. So I understand the point of trying to do lab-fed or lab-grown meat, but it's just not the same. It's not the same on many levels.
I don't understand it
marbling,
at all, other than you ultimately are wanting to control mankind in every aspect of their life.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Because you can put anything in those chemicals. You can. It's. I mean, click on the Newslink article and in the show notes and see for yourself. I didn't want to go into like all the little screwy things that they're doing, but Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who's another champion, signed a bill that not only bans lab-grown beef, which if you want to do that, but it also criminalizes it if you're making it. This will also be happening in Arizona, Alabama, and good old Tennessee. There you go, Free. And I don't think you should criminalize it, but if you want to ban it, do it.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I get all the different arguments about it. Let's end world hunger, all these different kinds of things. The environmental concerns that you were talking about earlier. I get all that, but the long and short of it is, it ain't going to be that good. Period.
No, and there's even studies that
to produce it, you're going to be producing pollutants way worse than the farming industry is.
Right.
I mean,
and a lot of professionals say that they're years away from even having a consumer product available. But DeSantis insists that it's a global elite trying to shove it down our throats. Which, I mean, he may not be wrong. I'm not going to go investigate this meat. There's already 2 companies in California, go figure, that have approval for lab-grown chicken.
You mean California?
Yeah. They got the 2 companies out there got the approval for lab-grown chicken. I mean, we over here on the East Coast, we just call that McNuggets.
Right.
Because if
so here's the funny thing. You remember, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, somewhere in that time frame. And this story leak that KFC used, like cloned like artificial chickens, like with no heads and no beaks and stuff. They just and everybody was all in an uproar. Fast forward 5 or 6 years, and now you're the bad guy if you don't want lab grown meat.
The reason why I made the McNuggets joke was a couple of years back. McDonald's got exposed for having that pink paste that actually was formed into McNuggets. Like, people don't realize like how much, like, if you're traveling all across the country with beef,
or the whole Taco Bell thing where they were buying the meat that was
grade E beef.
And meat, grade D or whatever it was, which would normally be used for like dog food.
Yes.
And they were buying that stuff and then running it through a chemical cleansing process.
Yeah.
To be able to use it.
I've spent this past week. I spent.
And you're going to tell me that I'm an idiot for shooting and killing or stabbing and trapping my own meat and eating that? Yeah. Okay.
I literally this past week, the wife and I tested the theory, and this whole week as the opportunity arose that I would be able to go down the street to get every night's meal. So I go down the street and I'll get a couple of fresh pork chops. I get just to do that. Not only did you eat less, but you felt better after you ate it.
Yeah, and you're spending less money in the long run because you're not throwing anything out.
Exactly.
We've actually been doing that for a little while now. We're just hey, what are we going to have for dinner tonight, and pick up what we need for that.
Exactly.
Obviously, you still buy rice, potatoes, stuff like that in bulk or whatever. That's not going to spoil. But the rest of it, it's like, okay, who all is going to be at home for dinner tonight?
Yep.
We try not to have leftovers.
Yep.
Make enough to eat.
Correct.
And move on.
Yeah, it's the smart way to go, because we as a society, we've lost ourselves in a lot of ways. About a week and a half ago, it started because about a week and a half ago, the wife said, "Oh, I'm going to cook tonight. I want to cook pasta." I'm like, "Great. All right. Awesome. Let's get some pasta going. Got some good sauce in there, man. Let's get it going." And she cooked a whole pound of pasta. And there's only 2 of us. I'm like, what the fuck are we going to do with all this pasta? Like, I'm a fat guy, but I'm not eating a pound of pasta and meatballs and sauce. Like, it's just no, and bread. Not going to happen. So that was one of the things that triggered us to go, you know what? We don't need to keep doing this. That spaghetti spoon that you have in your kitchen with the hole in the center, that hole is 1 serving of spaghetti. A lot of people don't know that, but that's 1 hole. That hole represents 1 serving of spaghetti. So if you're pouring the whole pound into your bowl, that's a lot of spaghetti. Now, I get it. She came from a huge family of 7 kids. She has 6 brothers and sisters. I had 5 brothers and sisters. So you were used to making, as a parent, large meals.
Yeah.
But, that's come and gone now. I got 1 kid left at the house. The other kids show up on Sundays sporadically. So if you cook a little bit extra, they can have something. But for the most part, that's just not needed anymore. So it's good to see that,
And you know what else is not needed anymore?
What's that?
At least according to Windows.
What?
VPN.
Well, we've talked about VPNs before. I get that you need a VPN to log into work. It's a secure network, but you don't need a VPN at your house. And just to hammer that point home, Microsoft's latest update will possibly break your VPN connection. So now you can look at this 2 ways, people, okay? First, you can update, break your VPN, and then you'll have to wait for your IT department to fix or replace the unit. That might mean that you're traveling to the office or you're sending the unit in. And the question you got to ask yourself is, are you going to be getting paid for that? Because a lot of people are still hybrid working, especially around here. So you might be getting paid for that downtime. Like, I know I would. If that computer stopped working and I had to send it back to IT, yeah, you're paying me for those days that, sorry, it's not my fault that computer broke. I'll do something on my computer or give me access. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm not getting paid. And the other thing you can do is just skip the update altogether and just keep going until the update's forced down the pipe. But I can tell you that I asked 2 IT professionals, and one of them flat out told me, he's like, yeah, update it, whatever. Go ahead. I'm like, but it could break the VPN. Yeah, it's fine. We'll fix it. I'm like, but it's not fixable. It's a
Right.
fixable thing. Yeah, it'll be fine. I'm like, oh, great. The other one, the other IT professional was like, whoa, do you know anybody that upgraded their computer? I'm like, no. Oh, good. All right. Because that could crush everything. You're right, because how many people, free about, do you and I know that are in the corporate world that are higher ups, have no idea about computers, that think they know about computers, and they're going to go, oh, yeah, well, I was having a problem with it, so I did an update. Now my VPN's not working. What was the problem you had with it? I couldn't get to a website. And what was that website, Charlie?
Yeah, exactly.
Did it start with an O? Oh, that's the other thing that kills me is that when they think that we don't know what they're doing on their company laptop,
Oh yeah.
especially if you're on the VPN. Like you're
My
on
favorite
the VPN.
one is when they go, hey, what do I need to do to clean up this laptop before I bring it to you? What do you mean clean it up? Well, I mean, I might have some personal stuff on there. Okay, well, just delete it. Yeah, but it's not like your normal files and stuff.
What have you done?
Then find you a big magnet
Run
and stick it on the hard drive.
that over the top of it.
And then I'll worry about getting it up and running from there. I don't have the time to tell you how to try and scrub all the crap off your computer that's not supposed to be there.
All right. You got anything else this week?
Happy Mother's Day to all our mothers out
Happy
there.
Mother's Day to all the moms. Absolutely.
And speaking of, I got to call my mom here in a little bit. I was hoping to get some Helldivers in, but if I call her, there's no telling how long that call will take.
It's mom. Gotta do it. All right.
But yeah, happy Mother's Day. And that's it. I really don't have anything else. Been kind of a slow week, which is good.
It is, yeah. All right, that's it for this week. 10's down, show's over.
So you can find more of this garbage at bgfgonline.com. You can also send us an email with your questions or suggestions at bgfgshow@gmail.com. Find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, Podcast, Castro, Castbox, Podchaser, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.